Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be doing my very first tutorial. I've had so many of my family and my friends, my clients, my students, followers ask me about doing tutorials for a long time now. I've finally built the balls to actually do it. I just haven't had the confidence, so let's see how we go. I'm going to be doing my first look today with some new product that I actually purchased yesterday from the Beauty Expo in Sydney. I wasn't really too sure on what to do today, so I figured I might as well just use the opportunity to use some new product. And the other reason why I'm doing this is mainly because I've had so many people message me lately and ask me to do reviews as well. So I recently have started uploading just small snippets of makeup applications. It's kind of like a little fast forwarded video, and that was my first step into filming. So I had a few people message me after doing that, say that one, they wanted tutorials and something that was a little bit longer, something that actually went through how to apply the product or how to do that certain look, and also to do product reviews. So I figured I'll do a little bit of both for my very first tutorial. So if you're doing something quite heavy, always do the eyes first. So I'm going to go in and pop my moisturizer that I'm using as a primer first. And you may need to reapply this potentially after doing the eye makeup if you've used a makeup wipe over the area. So I will start with the Inglot HD foundation just on the lids. And I'm not even sure if this is my colour. When I was at Beauty Expo yesterday, the girl just gave me the foundation that she thought was closest to my colour, so hopefully she did well. So I'm just applying the foundation to my lids. It doesn't really matter if you go in your brows or above your brows or underneath the eyes. So when you're doing your eye makeup, if you're using darker colors, or to be honest with you, whenever you're using eyeshadows, you really want to make sure that you're using a transitional color. So a transitional color is always going to be a lighter version of the darkest color, I guess, that you want to be working with. And if you have a lighter version of that color already blended within that crease line, then that darker color has something that's going to blend up into. So it just prevents any really harsh lines or having too much dark color too high. So I'm going to be using, I think I'm going to be using my Too Faced chocolate bar palette. I actually don't know the names of all of the colors in here, but I'm going to be using this color here. This is just going to be my transitional color in my the crease. I am going to be using my Morphe brushes. Oh. I've got a Morphe M330, and I have another Morphe brush here that I'm going to use, but it doesn't have a number on it, so it's just a really wide fluffy brush. I'm going to use the fluffier one first. And I'm just going back and forth in my crease. You're not going to see much of a difference. It's just going to give your crease just a little bit of definition. Now, a lot of makeup artists do their brows first before they go in with their eye makeup. I actually prefer to do my eye makeup before my brows, for the reason being, if I want to go in and blend any harsh lines out with like a big fluffy brush, then I'm not having to worry about work that I've already done in my brows. So I usually do the brows last. we'll just brush through. This is a good little tip with your powder brush with no product in there, just to brush through to remove any harsh lines that might be there. Okay, now sometimes I do and sometimes I don't either use tape on the outer corners or even like little eye pads. I usually do it before I start the whole eye makeup, but I think I might just use them for the darker color so I can get a nice sharp edge. These are little shadow shields. I bought them from a website called Makeup and Glow. I think it's a Brisbane-based makeup company, so you can get them from there. They just have a little bits of tape on the back. You just peel the tape off, and I just line the tape up from the outside of the corner of the eye to the outer end of your brow. Okay. And then if you wanted to, you can use it like a little shield so it can catch the eyeshadow. I don't really use it for that reason. So I probably could just use tape because it would do exactly the same thing. And the most important thing is that they're even. So I've used a matte colour as that transitional colour. I'm going to use something a little bit more shimmery, the darker brown on the outer edge. I'm going to use my Tarte palette that I have. This one's called Rainforest of the Sea in volume 3. And I'm going to use the darker brown just for the outer corner. And I'm going to use the smaller of the two fluffier brushes, the M330. And I'm just going to start by placing it in the outer edge of the bottom lid there. And what I like about the pads or tape is I can just kind of go back and forth up against it, and it's just that I'm having to blend towards the center. Every time I come up to the camera, it goes like a really bright color. Okay, and then I am just going to wipe a little bit of the excess product off and just start blending that color up into that transitional color. Oop. And use the fluffier brush. I'm not too sure if this colour is going to be dark enough for what I wanted, but let's see. I'm going to repeat what I did on the other side. And then I might put a little bit of a darker colour in there. I have my Morphe 350 shimmer palette. I think I should be able to get a darker shimmery brown from here. I might go in with this one here. Let's give that a go, just to darken it up a little bit. I feel like the champagne colour that I've got from Inglot is going to be like so vibrant that it needs to have quite a dark shade next to it. That's better. So I'm just pretty much placing it in the same place as the first Tarte palette that I was using, and then I'll blend it out. I'm going to remove these eye pads. You can see I've got quite a nice sharp line. I'm going to use that as my guide for my wing as well. If you don't like it that sharp, then you don't have to use those, or you can kind of come in with the powder brush once again and just soften up those edges. If rather than using a back and forth motion like I was before, I'm going to now be using more of a patting motion. And just on the inner lid, and that is gorgeous. I love it. I actually find it really difficult to find a nice champagne color that isn't too white or too gold or too pink even. This is really pretty and perfect. So now that I've patted it on, I'm just going in and blending it a little bit into the other colors. Okay, so I'm just gonna get that fluffy brush and just blend the dark to light from the color, from the light color to the dark color across, and even for as it's transitioning up as well. Now I do actually have the Morphe M460 brush, and I know that most people would probably use this for a contour brush. I actually love this brush as a little bit of a fixer-upper when it comes to my eye makeup. I think because it's so thick and so dense, I can go into certain areas and it just takes off any eye makeup where it shouldn't be. And that's my little, I don't know, thing that I do, I guess. Thinking out of the box. Okay. I might go in, I think I want to make that a little bit more brighter. In there. And then I'm going to repeat on the other eye. I'm going to put a little bit of eyeshadow on the bottom lash line. I'm going to use a darker matte brown for this. I'm going to go in with the dark chocolate brown that's in the chocolate palette from my Too Faced. And I am going to just use a flat brush. And I'm just going to do this along the lash line on the outer corner. And then I can just blend it a little bit as I go in. Let's put a little bit of highlighter under the brow bone and on the inner corner of the eye. I'm going to use the Rodeo Drive in the Ofra highlighter that I've bought. I might have to touch this up once I've done the eyebrows, but I might not have to, so we'll just see how we go. Okay, and then let's go in with the liner. So I'm going to use the Maybelline, I think it's Master Precise liquid liner, I find that Maybelline is probably the best eyeliner, mascara, range, I guess, that there is. I have tried all of the expensive brands, all of the beauty professional brands, all of the Sephora and Mecca store brands, and I find Maybelline and even Model Co actually have the best eye products when it comes to liners and mascaras. I always make sure that they're not necessarily waterproof but water soluble, and I find that that's when I'm not getting any marking or any hitting or any smudging, and Maybelline eyeliners have been the bomb diggity for me. So I'm going to go in with the line first across the top lid. I'm going to try and do a thinner to thicker, and that's going to give me a little bit more of an almond appearance. And then I'm going to go with the natural sharp edge of the eyeshadow, so it's already made my job a little bit easier with my flick. So I'm going to go in with the eyeliner first as if I'm not doing a flick, and then I add the flick on. Okay, so we've got thin to thick, and I'm going to do it on the other eye before I go in with my wings. With my wings, how I make sure that they're heading both in the same direction and that they're even is I draw the bottom line of the wing first, and then on the other side, and then I'm able to see if they're going both in the right direction or if one's a little bit wonky or you know, and whatnot, and then that way I'm able to fix that before I've actually completed the whole wing. It's a lot easier to get a cotton tip, take that one line off, than have to redo the whole wing. Okay, and then I just step back, look in the mirror to see if they are even. So as you can see, it is just a line that I have drawn. Okay, and I'm happy with that. So now I'm able, I just want to support the skin. And I don't go right from the end of the tip, just a little bit underneath, about 1 millimeter, and draw a triangle. And connect it to that line that I've already drawn on the lid, and then you can go in and colour in. Okay, and then I'm going to do the other eye. As I was saying before, Maybelline, Model Co are the two products that I'm loving for eyeliner and mascara at the moment. So I've just used the Maybelline eyeliner. I'm going to be using the Model Co Lash Extend in Black mascara. I'm going to do the top lashes, the bottom lashes first. I'm just wiping a little bit of the excess off so that they're not too chunky, and I do this so that if I then look up to do the bottom lashes, that any of the fresh product that's been put on those top lashes don't hit. So if I do it first, then I just am preventing that. I'm just going to put a very, very small amount on my top lashes just to coat them a little bit. Because if I put too much, I find that the false lashes are really difficult to place on top because my lashes are really curly. Sometimes I even do the mascara after putting the false lashes on, but just a little bit will be fine. Okay, so let's go in with the lashes. So I'm going to be using these Ardell 120 lashes. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do with the lashes is line them up with my own natural eyelid and make sure there isn't any that I need to cut. And I probably could just cut the one little bit of the outer edge. With your lashes, if you don't size them up and cut them, you'll find that they'll be irritating in your inner or outer corner, your whole event. So you're better off just trimming them. Don't ever trim from the inner corner, only from the outer corner. Obviously don't trim the length either, because then you're just gonna get really stumpy ends. So you're only ever trimming the outer edge. If you trim at the inner edge, then you're trimming the smallest section off, and that's what's blending down into those small little lashes of yours. I used to do that when I was 18, thinking that I was leaving the longest lashes on there, and that was a good thing, but I just had really long lashes starting on my inner corners. Not a good look. So I'm going to apply the glue along the band. And then I'm just going to wait for it to get a little bit tacky. If you go in and apply the lashes straight away, that's when it's like all slippery. It slips and slides, and then it doesn't stick, and then you get glue everywhere. And that's generally at the point where I'll rip them off and throw them and go, I'm not going wherever it is that I'm going to. So just make sure it gets a little bit tacky and you won't have any. If I was doing lashes on a client, I guess it was the same with all of my makeup applications. I use different mascaras and different products. I have my own makeup kit for myself, but I would never blow on lashes while they were drying for a client. Obviously that cross-contaminates. On myself it's fine, so if you want to blow on your lashes to get a little bit tackier quicker, that's fine, but just don't do it for a client if you are a makeup artist. Same with mascara. Like I obviously would use disposable mascara wands in a different mascara wand, an actual different mascara bottle than the one that I use on myself. So hygiene is really important when you're looking after clients, but when it's just on yourself, as long as you're not using the same products on your client, then it's fine. So with your lashes, the most important thing is that you're getting it as close as you possibly can to the actual natural lash line and to the natural lashes. You don't want to turn to the side and then the false lashes are up here and the bottom lashes or your natural lashes are underneath, and there's a gap and you can see. So you want them as close as you possibly can. I generally have my pointer finger and my thumb holding the center of the lashes, and that guides me to the middle of the eye. Okay, and then I almost go on an angle where I'm coming from the top and then I push it in up against underneath the lid. And then I come in and I place my corners down. I usually use the Ardell Lash Grip eyelash adhesive already, and I actually think very highly of it. I use the white glue in there. I think they have a black one as well, and I love the white one in particular. I find it dries clear. I can put a little bit of black eyeliner over the top if I need to once it is dry, but I find it's longer lasting and my edges don't flick up, and that's my favorite glue. So when I opened up the lashes, it does come with an Ardell little lash glue, like a glue, not goo, glue. in the back of the lashes, so I just figured, oh well, I'll use that because it's Ardell glue, it should be exactly the same. Not gonna lie, I don't really like it. It's really runny, and it's kind of ran a little bit throughout my lashes. I mean, it'll dry clear anyway, so it'll be fine, but not a huge fan. So next time I would definitely go to my normal glue that I would use, and I wouldn't worry about using the glue that's in the packaging. The other thing is, already, I mean, I haven't put the other one on yet, and I'm going to put a little bit more mascara underneath to blend, but I don't know how much of a huge fan I am of this lash in particular. And it's nothing against Ardell's lashes. It might just be this particular set that's not me. Okay, so I'm just going to brush the brows up and then out. And then I'm just using an angled brush. And I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow in Blonde. So the most important thing when you use your dip brow, I use the angled brush, and I just want to make sure that I get a really smooth application of the dip brow onto the brush. Okay, and then I want to almost draw a straight line up into my arch and then back down to create the bottom line of the brow. I'll taper the tail, and then I just blend the product up a little bit. I'm not actually going to get more product and color in the brow with, and the reason being is because it creates too much of a square, and then they're really dark, and then they're really blocky, and we don't want that. That's very 2012. I had the most horrific eyebrows. If you know me personally, if you're a client or a friend of mine, then you will know I had big slug square drawn on brows. It was kind of when brows were really in at the time, but no one knew how to do them just yet, so we don't want that. We're just going to go in and draw that straight line underneath. Okay, and then I'm going to taper that tail. All right, and I'm going to do the same on the other side before I go in and blend. So I'm just going to wipe off the excess product on my angled brush, and I'm then just going to start blending the line that I created underneath up into the brow. Okay, I am just gonna get my beauty blender. Well, this sponge is actually by Dirty 30s, which I would, in my opinion, are better. And just blend that inner brow. I think Dirty 30s are a Australian based company, and you get a box of 30 mini beauty blenders that you can do like around the eye area with for a very affordable price. I have a feeling, I could be wrong, that it's around the $60 mark. Or you can get a pack of the 6 large ones for the same price, but it's better than the beauty blenders. In Australian price, price of one is $30. Okay, and brows done. So using the Inglot HD foundation for the very first time. I used it on the base, like on my eyes, and just from that I thought it was great. I don't know how much I need, but we've went with that. I think I've used way too much. It feels really nice. So far, so good. Now I know the foundation looks quite yellow when I first apply it. But once it oxidizes and it's all blended, so when you're using beauty blenders, just making sure that you're using more of that dabbing motion rather than wiping motion, okay, and that your beauty blender is damp. So always making sure that you've run it under water, dried out all of the excess. Let's do a little bit of contour. I'm going to be using the Tarte Tape Shape. This one's in Deep. I just wipe off the excess because a little does go a long way. And I just place it underneath my cheekbone. If I go right too far up, I blend up there and I find I get too much in my hairline. And then sides of my nose, a little bit on forehead. I like to put a little bit under my lip as well because it usually makes your bottom lip protrude just a little bit. And then blend. So I like to blend the contour underneath the cheek, obviously up towards the ear, but if anything a little bit up rather than down. It just means that the darker color is coming up a little bit higher, so that cheekbone is going to look a little bit higher and a little bit bigger. So if you always remember the rule that a darker shade is going to create a shadow, it's going to take the illusion away from something, or makes something appear smaller, then if you're self-conscious about something, so if you were self-conscious about your jawline or your chin or your forehead or whatever it was, you can contour and it's going to bring the attention away from that area. If you want something to make it look bigger, then if you place it underneath that area, then you know that area is going to look bigger. So for example, your cheekbone, if you put it underneath, then what's sitting on top is going to look more defined. So as a general rule, I mean, as long as it's blended, it doesn't really matter, but as a general rule, you want to go 2 shades darker for your contour, and then for your highlighting, 2 shades lighter. This is definitely more than 2 shades darker than me, but it's the only one that I had at the moment and I really like it. So I just have to be extra careful. I just have to make sure it's really blended. Don't over blend your contour out though, because there's no point in doing it. You just want like a little shadow. And then I'm going to go in with a highlighting color. So once again, the Tarte Tape Shape, and this one's in light neutral. So I'm just gonna do like a little triangle under each eye, down the center of my nose, bring it up into the forehead, and then my Cupid's bow. And when I blend out underneath my eye, I bring it up onto my cheekbone. And even a little bit just up the side of my nose. Okay. So normally I use the Hourglass bronzer to bronze up and to accentuate the contour a little bit more as well, but I'm feeling like I need to try the Ofra product that I got in the little goodie bag. So look, it's quite a different product to what I normally use. So I usually use the bronzer from Hourglass. The actual color it is in particular is worn off, so I don't remember what one it is compared to this. But look, let's just give it a go. This is quite orange, so what I might do is I'm going to start using it. It's quite shimmery and quite orange, so I'm going to start using it a little bit higher than what I normally would, just in case I don't like it. It's very pigmented. I might just come in, blend. Once it's blended, I don't mind it. It's quite pretty. You just have to be really careful with it. Beautiful. All right. And then I'm going to go in with the Hourglass blusher. It's in magenta. Now, I don't like having too much of a rosy apple of my cheeks. I feel that it makes me look really chubby. Obviously, that is where you want a little bit more color. So I kind of go from the apple but blend it up a little bit. And it just gives me a little bit of color in my cheeks. I don't know how many times I tell my students, I know bronzing's in, but we don't blush brown. So you need to make sure that you have just a little bit of color in your cheeks. You don't have to have a lot, but you want just a little bit. Okay, I'm excited to use the Ofra highlighter. So I used the Rodeo Drive on the inner corners of my eyes and under the brow. So maybe just for something a little bit different, let's use the other one, the Beverly Hills. So this one comes with, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colors within the palette. Okay, so I guess you can choose to use like one of them as you go, or you can swirl them all together. And I'm gonna just swirl it all together because I think that will look really pretty. And I'm going to use my Zoeva brush. It's the 134 Luxe Powder Fusion brush that I'm going to be using. So I'm just gonna swirl it all together. It's a little bit gold for my liking. I just need to blend that a little bit. Everyone that knows me knows that I love highlight, okay, but needs to just be a little bit. Sometimes, unfortunately, it can be a little bit OTT. You just want to look sun-kissed. That is beautiful. I've been to events before where I've put so much highlighter on because I'm like, yeah, glitter me up. And then I see photos and I'm just, there's just so much glitter and I'm like, that's not a good look. So let's just tone that down a little bit. Right, so I'm going to use Velvet Teddy from MAC. Perfect. And I always use a fanning motion after using a prepping spray. Just sets it in place. And that is our final. So that's it for me for my very first tutorial, guys. I hope you liked it. Please let me know what other looks you want to see, how you enjoyed this tutorial. Give me some tips on how I could improve. Some constructive criticism would be amazing. Let me know what you really liked and where I did really well. That would be amazing as well. So I'll see you next time, hopefully. Thanks. Bye.